AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
Have you ever found yourself staring at a job application, maybe for an entry-level role, and you feel that sort of knot in your stomach, that classic problem where every single opening seems to demand like 2 or 3 years of experience, but you're maybe fresh out of college or, still studying, and you're thinking, how am I supposed to get a job when these entry-level roles need experience I just don't have?
It's such a common feeling, right? Feeling stuck or just totally unsure how you can possibly stand out without that formal job history.
Oh, absolutely. You are definitely not alone in feeling that way. It's almost a rite of passage, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into exactly this challenge. We want to, fundamentally redefine what experience actually means to employers, moving way beyond just those traditional paid jobs. Our mission is to really explore how you can leverage every single part of your background. Those ambitious projects you did in your dorm, your campus activities, even those part-time gigs that might seem small. We want to help you craft a really powerful entry-level resume, one that doesn't just, open doors, but maybe kicks them wide open.
That's the goal. And our sources for this deep dive, they're really diverse, really insightful. We're covering all the angles. We've pulled from top career experts, resume builders like Novorzume and Beam Jobs. They're doing some cutting-edge stuff. And also invaluable resources from university career centers, places like Rice University, platforms like the scholarship system. They see this every day. And all these sources, they're really united by one thing: helping you, the listener, bridge that really crucial, often kind of intimidating gap from academic life to professional success.
Exactly. So our mission today is to equip you, not just with the practical strategies, the how-to, but also with the mindset shift. We want you to feel empowered, to see your academic wins, your personal projects, your volunteering, all of it as compelling qualifications. The aim is for you to confidently connect with hiring managers, land that first job you're shooting for, and really truly understand that you have so much more to offer than you might think right now. So let's start unpacking this whole thing. Okay, let's unpack this experience word. For so long, I think many of us, we've been sort of conditioned, right, to think experience only means a paid job, or maybe a formal internship. You picture a specific title, a known company, a paycheck. But is that really all employers are looking for? Especially when they're hiring someone, straight out of college or maybe still in their studies.
It's a totally understandable misconception. And yeah, it's pervasive. That traditional view, it's been ingrained for ages. But the reality, particularly for entry-level roles, it's much more nuanced. And honestly, it's a lot more flexible. Think of those job descriptions less like strict laws and more like a wish list, a nice-to-have list. Employers know, they're acutely aware, that early career talent won't have a decade of corporate experience. It's just not possible. What they're really looking for, above almost everything else, is potential, not perfection, potential. They want to see your drive, your ability to learn, to adapt, your basic skills, yes, but also, critically, your initiative.
Okay, potential, not perfection. I like that.
Yeah, and this shift in mindset, it's incredibly empowering because it means experience goes way beyond just those traditional paid roles. Let's think about someone, maybe call them Alex, just finishing a liberal arts degree, maybe feeling a bit lost translating skills. So Alex worked part-time as a barista through college. Okay, on the surface, maybe that seems unrelated to, say, a marketing job they want.
Right, making coffee versus marketing campaigns. Feels different.
But think deeper. Being a barista, that's constant customer interaction. Handling money, managing inventory, especially during rushes, solving problems instantly when a tricky order comes in or something goes wrong, keeping cool under pressure. Those are priceless transferable skills. customer service, time management, problem solving, responsibility, communication. These are things almost every industry needs. Absolutely, including marketing.
That's a really game-changing way to look at it. Seriously. So if it's not just about that fancy job title you might not have yet, what else counts? What can someone like Alex confidently put on their resume? Give us some concrete examples. Help our listeners see their own background differently.
Absolutely. Our sources, they highlight a whole range of activities that aren't just okay to include. They should be presented as valuable experience. Let's stick with Alex. Maybe Alex took a class where they had to create a mock marketing campaign for a local nonprofit. That's a class project. It's not just homework. It shows research, strategic thinking, teamwork, presentation skills, all valuable. Just listing relevant coursework itself counts too. If Alex took courses in, say, rhetoric, sociology, even statistics, those directly show critical thinking, communication skills, maybe data interpretation, all relevant for tons of entry-level jobs.
Okay, so coursework counts.
Yeah. Then there's volunteer work. Maybe Alex spent a semester helping at an animal shelter, coordinating adoption events, managing their social media. That's pure initiative, responsibility. Event planning skills, communication in action. It shows Alex is proactive, engaged in the community. Campus involvement too, especially if you held a leadership role in a club or student group. That's a goldmine. It gives evidence of leadership, teamwork, organizational skills. If Alex was treasurer for the debate club, that's budgeting, public speaking, strategic planning even. Or, even being captain of an intramural sports team shows leadership and collaboration.
So even things that feel, smaller, like a side gig or something you just did on your own time, can those really move the needle on a resume?
Precisely. We already talked about Alex's barista job, highlighting those transferable skills. But what if Alex also loved to travel? Maybe started a blog about it. With photos, stories, that's a personal learning project. Or an independent project that could powerfully show writing skills, content creation, maybe basic web design if Alex built the blog themselves, social media skills, cultural awareness. Or maybe Alex taught themselves, Canva. Or built a little online portfolio for their photography hobby. These projects show tangible knowledge, a proactive attitude, a strong set of transferable skills employers really value, even if nobody paid Alex a dime for it. It's all about showing your drive, your ability to learn on your own steam.
That makes so much sense. And it really ties into building confidence, doesn't it? Knowing you don't need that formal paid job to have valuable stuff to show. It must open up so many more possibilities for job seekers starting out. It's like a mental switch flips, unlocking potential.
It absolutely does. When you broaden how you define experience, suddenly you unlock this huge pool of relevant qualifications from your own life. It's a psychological shift, really. You go from feeling like, I have no experience, to realizing, wow, I actually have this rich tapestry of experiences. And when you frame them right, they're incredibly valuable. It boosts your confidence, sure, but it also significantly expands your options. It makes you a more competitive, more compelling candidate. You're not just listing tasks anymore. You're telling a story of your growth and your potential.
Okay, now here's where things get really interesting, especially for anyone who's maybe looking beyond their local job market. We've sort of opened up our thinking about experience for jobs here domestically. But let's look wider for a sec, because for some of you listening, that dream job might be, across the pond. And what you call your resume might have a different name, different rules entirely. People often just assume a resume is a resume everywhere, but that's not quite right, is it? Let's quickly touch on that international side, specifically thinking about the UK.
That's a super critical point, and one that gets overlooked a lot. In the UK, the standard document is a CV, which stands for Curriculum Vitae. Now, it serves the same basic purpose as a U.S. resume, contact info, experience, education, skills. But there are several key differences. And if you miss these, it can actually hurt your application. It might even get screened out by their applicant tracking systems, their ATS, which are used everywhere.
Okay, so what are some of those specific UK CV requirements we really need to know? It sounds like more than just swapping words. It's a whole different culture around it.
Oh, much more. First, and simplest maybe, you have to consistently call it a CV, not a resume, in your application materials. British recruiters expect that. Second, length. A typical U.S. entry-level resume, we aim for 1 page, right? Concise. UK CVs are generally expected to be 1-2 pages. And that's not just about cramming more in. It's about meeting the local expectation for a more detailed document, even when you're starting out.
1 to 2 pages, even for entry level.
Yeah.
Okay. What else?
Contact details. UK CVs usually want your full home address, including the postcode. That's different from the US, where city and state are usually fine, maybe even preferred for privacy. Photos. This is interesting. They're common in some parts of Europe, but in the UK, they're generally optional and honestly not usually recommended. unless the job specifically requires it, like acting or modeling. Best to leave it off to avoid unconscious bias. Another subtle but key thing, language. You need to use British English spelling. So organization with an S, color with a U, analyze with an S. Little details, but they show you've done your homework and respect the local norms.
Yeah, that's an easy one to miss, but could definitely look careless. What about education? Is that presented differently too? More detail maybe?
Yes, significantly more detail, and often goes further back. UK CVs typically require you to include your secondary school achievements, things like your A-levels and GCSEs, along with the grades you got. Now, for U.S. listeners, if you have qualifications from outside the U.K., you'll want to look into something called UK NARIC. It's the National Recognition Information Center. Think of it like getting your foreign transcripts officially evaluated here in the U.S. It helps them understand your credentials in their system. Oh, and the date format. It's day, month, year. D to me, not month, day, year like we use. And naturally, any measurements or money mentioned should be in metric units and British pounds.
Wow. Okay.
And one last thing. UK employers usually expect to see a standard closing phrase. References available upon request. It's just a common professional courtesy there.
Okay, that's a surprisingly long list of specifics. So the big takeaway here is, if you're applying internationally, especially to the UK, you have to pay super close attention to these details for your application to even be taken seriously. Otherwise, for jobs here in the US, we stick with the US-style resume focus. But it's definitely good to know these differences exist.
Precisely. It's all about tailoring, not just to the job, but to the cultural and national context of who's reading it. Shows respect, shows detail orientation.
All right, so we've broadened our definition of experience. We've navigated some international waters. What does this all mean for actually building your resume right now for that entry-level job you're targeting? Let's really dive into the essential sections, especially when you're starting out and maybe don't have that long work history.
Okay, yeah. For an entry-level resume, there are some absolute must-have components, and you need to craft each one carefully. You absolutely need clear contact details. A compelling professional profile, which, for new grads, is usually a focused resume objective, not a summary. Then, a strong section for relevant work experience. And remember, we just talked about how this can include internships, projects, volunteer work. Be creative. After that, a dedicated transferable skills section is crucial, highlighting both your technical or hard skills and your interpersonal or soft skills. And of course, education, which, as we'll discuss, often gets more prominence, more detail when you're starting your career. Plus, you can add valuable bonus sections, things like awards, honors, to really make yourself stand out.
Let's start right in the top then, contact details. It's literally the first thing they see. What's absolutely essential here to make sure it's professional, easy to find, and maybe just as important, what should people definitely avoid? What sends the wrong signal right away?
Yeah, your contact details are your professional calling card. It's how they reach you. So crystal clear, concise, easy to spot. The non-negotiables, your full name. Make it the biggest, boldest text right at the top, draws the eye immediately. Then, a professional email address. Seriously, something like firstname.lastname@email.com is perfect. Time to retire that old high school one.
Yeah, ditch the Surfer Dude 88 address.
Exactly, and of course your current phone number. For location on U.S. resumes, just city and state is fine. But as we said, for UK CVs, you'll need that full address with postcode, standard practice there.
Okay, name, professional email, phone, location. What else is good to include?
In today's world, professional links are highly recommended, especially your LinkedIn profile, assuming it's polished and up to date. It lets hiring managers easily see your network, maybe recommendations, get a fuller picture of you. And if you're in a field where you have work to show off, creative, technical, writing a link to your professional website or online portfolio is fantastic. Like our friend Alex, the liberal arts grad. They could link to that travel blog we mentioned or maybe a portfolio of writing samples. It's instant proof of skill.
Makes sense. And the don'ts. What are the common mistakes people make here that can just torpedo their chances before the recruiter even reads line 2?
Oh yeah, some definite things to avoid. Nicknames. Unless it's genuinely how you're known professionally. Stick to your legal name generally. We mentioned unprofessional email addresses, they just scream immaturity. Definitely no photos on U.S. resumes unless you're an actor or model where appearance is literally part of the job. UK CVs, photos are optional, but still generally not recommended unless truly relevant, just to avoid potential bias. And finally, skip the unnecessary personal details on a U.S. resume. Marital status, religion, date of birth, none of that belongs. It's not relevant to your qualifications and just opens the door to bias. Keep it clean, concise, professional. That's the goal.
All right, next section down. This is kind of your headline, right? Your introduction, like that first compelling paragraph that makes someone want to keep reading. How do you grab their attention here? How do you quickly show your value when you don't have years of experience to summarize? It feels like a tough spot.
It really can feel tough, yeah. And that's why understanding the difference between a resume summary and a resume objective is so critical here. A resume summary is usually for folks with more experience. It looks back, recaps career highlights, big achievements. It sums up what you have done. For you as an entry-level candidate, a recent grad, maybe a career changer, a resume objective is generally much more suitable. It's shorter, it looks forward, it briefly outlines your key skills, your qualifications, and crucially, why you're a good fit for this specific job. It often highlights your immediate career goals in the context of that role. It focuses on what you can do and want to do for them.
Okay, objective, not summary.
Got it. No, here's the thing. While an objective can be super effective, honestly, probably 95% of entry-level resumes either skip it or they include one that's kind of bland, doesn't add much value. It's not that objectives are inherently bad. It's just that most aren't crafted strategically enough to really boost your chances of getting that interview call. But a really well-crafted one that hits that top 5%, that can be a powerful differentiator, makes a strong first impression, cuts through the noise.
Okay, so what's the secret? What makes an objective land in that top 5%? How do you make it impactful, not just, filler space? What's the strategy?
The secret sauce, really, is extreme personalization and sharp focus. To make your objective truly work for you, there are 4 key rules. First, you absolutely must customize it for every single job application. A generic objective is useless. It tells the employer nothing about why you want their job at their company. It just screams mass application. Second, don't be afraid to be a bit personal. Show genuine interest in that specific role or career path. Let your authentic enthusiasm shine through. If you connect with the company's mission, say so. Third, keep it short, brutally short, 2 to 3 sentences max. Hiring managers scan fast. They're not reading essays here any longer. It just gets skipped. And finally, this is maybe the most important part. State your top 1 or 2 qualifications that are most relevant to that specific role. Even if those qualifications come from a project or volunteer work, focus on what you can bring, not what you think you lack.
Okay. Customize, be personal, keep it short, highlight top relevant qualifications. Can you give us some examples of what that looks like in practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's pull some strong ones from our sources. Okay, say you're going for a data analyst role. Prospective data analyst who strives to pose and answer questions with quantitative-driven insights. Through the development of personal projects, I've learned the importance of having an iterative, hypothesis-oriented approach to analysis, and I'm excited to leverage that approach at Acme Corps as a data analyst. See, it doesn't just list data analysis. It shows initiative, personal projects, a specific methodology, iterative, hypothesis-oriented, and names the target company, Acme Corps.
Yeah, that's specific. Much better than seeking data analyst role.
Exactly. Or for a computer science grad. Recent computer science graduate with a passion for developing scalable web applications and working across the full stack. I've built 2 web apps from the ground up using React, Node, and PostgreSQL. Super direct. Highlights passion, specific hard skills, React, Node, PostgreSQL, and practical application. Built 2 web apps. Even for, say, a retail sales role, leveraging non-traditional experience. Let's go back to Alex, the barista. Retail sales associate with experience working directly with customers to ensure their satisfaction. Looking for an opportunity to work for a KPI-focused organization where I can grow like Acme Corp. Now, that phrase KPI-focused organization is key. KPIs are key performance indicators how businesses track success, like sales targets or customer satisfaction scores. Mentioning that shows Alex understands business metrics and wants to contribute to measurable success, linking past customer service to future growth in that kind of environment.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Ames, your host of Signals, a Starbold Studios production. I'm taking bold ideas and real challenges submitted by leaders like you and turning them into powerful conversation with actionable results. Some weeks, I'll react in just 4 minutes. Others, I'll bring on experts for deeper dives. So send up a signal and I'll throw you a line.
Those examples really nail it. They're so specific, so tailored, moving way beyond just generic wishes. And quickly, for our listeners thinking about the UK, is there an equivalent there? Or do they skip this part on a CV?
Yeah, there's an equivalent, but it's called a personal statement in the UK. It serves a similar purpose, but is usually a bit longer, maybe 3-4 sentences. It sits right at the top of the CV and summarizes your professional background, even if it's mostly academic, key accomplishments, 1 or 2 really applicable skills, and your career aspirations. The key principle is the same as a strong US objective. Specificity and focusing on outcomes. You absolutely want to avoid vague stuff like talented designer seeks role, good eye for detail, knows Photoshop, ready to work. It's just empty. Tells them nothing.
Right. Sounds generic and maybe a bit lazy.
Exactly. Instead, a strong personal statement, even for someone starting out, would be much more focused. Maybe something like, highly motivated communication studies graduate with demonstrated leadership in campus organizations and strong analytical skills honed through research projects. Eager to apply proficiency in social media analytics and content creation, developed through independent studies and volunteer work, to a dynamic marketing role at company name and contribute to measurable campaign success. It focuses on specific skills, social media analytics, content creation, where they came from, independent studies, volunteer work, connects to the company, and hints at results. Measurable campaign success. Same principles, different label.
Fantastic. That really sets the stage at the top of the resume. Now let's shift to education. For a lot of entry-level folks, especially recent grads, this is kind of the core of their experience so far, right? How do we present this section to really maximize its impact?
You're spot on. For candidates with limited traditional work history, the education section actually deserves prominent placement. Often, it should come before your work experience or project section. It signals that your academic journey is your primary foundation right now. It's your most recent, most formalized block of experience, skill development, and learning. So when you're listing your university degrees, be specific. Include the full type of degree, Bachelor of Arts, Master of Science, whatever it is, the full course name or your major, like in marketing or in computer science. The university's full name, its location, city, state, and your graduation year. If you're still studying, put your expected graduation date that tells them when you'll be available. And if your grades or classification were impressive, definitely include that. Things like summa cum laude, or in the UK, first-class honors or 2.1 degree classification.
What about GPA and things like Dean's List or other academic honors? Should those always go in, or are there rules of thumb?
Good question. The general rule for GPA is include it if it's strong, typically 3.5 or higher on a 4.0 scale. Why? Because a high GPA doesn't just signal smarts. It subtly suggests diligence, analytical ability, consistency, performing under pressure, all great professional traits. It tells them you're reliable. Some sources say include it if it's 3.0 or higher, depending on your field or if they ask, but 3.5 plus is usually a safe bet for impressive. And absolutely, yes, list any academic honors, National Honor Society, Dean's List for multiple semesters, departmental awards, scholarships. These show you consistently achieved. You went beyond just passing grades.
Okay, makes sense. What about specific classes? Should you list those?
Yes. Don't overlook relevant coursework. This is super valuable, especially if you lack direct work experience in the field you're targeting. List specific courses that directly showcase skills needed for that job. Applying for finance. List advanced econometrics or financial modeling, tech role, data structures, and algorithms.
Yeah.
But don't only list technical courses. Also highlight classes that show strong communication skills, maybe professional writing, public speaking, technical communication. Those are universally valuable soft skills. Listing relevant courses draws a direct line between your studies and the job's requirements. It shows you've already built foundational knowledge.
And what if you're really early in college, like a freshman? Or for our UK listeners with those different school systems?
Right. For UK listeners, as we mentioned, the education section is much more detailed. You need to include your secondary school stuff, A-levels, GCSEs, subjects, grades. It's expected. For US freshmen, especially if you don't have much college experience yet, it's okay to include your high school information name, city, state, graduation year. But generally, by the time you're a sophomore, you should drop the high school info. Your college experience becomes the focus and takes precedence. The emphasis naturally shifts.
Got it. Anything else for the education section?
Yes, one more really important thing in today's world, certifications and online courses. Don't forget these. Professional credentials, short courses you took, maybe webinars. Recent online certs, these can seriously boost your profile. Think CompTIA, A+ for IT, maybe a Google Data Analytics certificate, a HubSpot inbound marketing cert, things like that. Listing these shows incredible initiative. It proves you're committed to learning beyond your degree, that you're proactively gaining job-ready skills. It fills gaps and screams growth mindset.
Okay. Education section looking strong. Now, how do you really hammer home what you can actually do for an employer? That's where the skills section comes in, right? It seems absolutely critical, not just like an afterthought.
Totally critical. The skills section isn't just vital. It can honestly be a make or break part of your resume, especially when you're starting out. But it can't just be a random laundry list of words. It needs to be strategic, needs to show real proficiency. We generally split skills into two main buckets, hard skills and soft skills.
Okay, hard versus soft. Break that down for us.
Sure. Hard skills are your technical abilities. The ones that are usually measurable, teachable. Think programming languages, Python, C++ skill, specific software SQL, AutoCAD, Adobe Creative Suite, Salesforce. Even things like advanced Excel skills, proficiency with Canva, or specific social media management tools. You often learn these through classes, training, or projects. Soft skills, on the other hand, are more about your personality, your behavior, how you interact. They're harder to quantify sometimes, but employers value them immensely. We're talking about things like communication, adaptability, problem-solving, collaboration, time management, leadership, customer service, being reliable, managing yourself well. Both types are crucial. Employers want to see a good mix.
So it's not enough to just list communication or Python in a skill section. How do you make these resonate? Make them seem real, not just buzzwords.
Exactly. That's the key mistake people make. Skills shouldn't just live in a sad little bulleted list at the bottom. They need to be woven throughout your entire resume, like threads holding it all together. You should integrate them into your objective or personal statement. Embed them in your descriptions of work experience or projects. Explicitly highlight them when you talk about achievements. So instead of just listing problem solving, you could write in your experience section. Identified workflow inefficiencies that saved the company 10+ hours weekly, demonstrating strong problem solving and analytical skills. See, concrete evidence.
Okay. Show, don't just tell.
Precisely. Or back to Alex, our barista blogger. Instead of just listing communication, maybe on a volunteer role description, resolved complex customer issues by analyzing support ticket trends, resulting in a 25% reduction in repeat complaints and showcasing strong problem-solving and communication skills. It gives context. It shows how you used the skill and what the result was. That's way more convincing than just the word itself floating alone.
That makes perfect sense. And nowadays, with so many resumes going through automated systems first, I hear keywords are incredibly important in this section too. What's the deal with ATS, and how do we make sure we're speaking its language?
You're absolutely right. Keywords aren't just important, they're critical. Think of applicant tracking systems ATS as these digital gatekeepers. Smart search engines for resumes. And ATS isn't reading your resume like a person does initially. It's scanning it for specific words and phrases that match the job description. So if the job ad says they want proficiency in Python, and your resume just vaguely says skilled in coding, the ATS might completely miss you. Even if you're a Python whiz, you're not just writing for a human anymore, at least not at first. You have to speak the algorithm's language to get past that first hurdle.
Okay, so how do we do that?
The best advice is simple but crucial. Mirror the skills and terminology you find directly in the job ad. Read it carefully. If they list data analysis and you have that skill, use their exact phrase data analysis in your skill section or experience. If they mention client relationship management, use that exact phrase, maybe instead of just customer service. This massively increases your odds of getting past the automated screen and actually landing in front of a human reviewer.
Smart. Any final tips for the skills section?
Yeah, one last big one. Quality absolutely beats quantity. It is much, much better to list a few skills you know really well, skills you can back up with solid examples, than to list dozens you only kind of know. Be honest with yourself about your proficiency level. Stick to the skills you could confidently discuss or even demonstrate in an interview. Don't claim you're an expert in Photoshop if you've only dabbled. Recruiters can usually spot that pretty quickly. Focus on your real strengths.
All right, now let's tackle the experience section itself. But using that new, broader perspective we talked about earlier, what really counts here? Especially when you're just starting out, you don't have that long list of formal jobs or internships. This is where I think a lot of entry-level candidates feel the most, insecure.
Yeah, this is where we really lean into that expanded definition of experience. We need to empower you to see the value in everything you've done. Remember, it's not just paid jobs at big companies, not just formal internships. For every entry you include, whether it's actual work, a significant project, dedicated volunteerism, you need the basics first. A clear job title or role you held, the company or organization name, the precise dates you were involved. Use a consistent format like money or maybe fall 2023, and the location. Then, the most important part, for each entry, aim for 3 to 5 strong bullet points. And these shouldn't just list your duties, they need to highlight your achievements and responsibilities. And super important whenever you possibly can, quantify those results. Numbers make your impact real, tangible. They provide proof. So instead of just saying manage social media, try manage social media engagement, increasing followers by 15% over 3 months. Or instead of handled customer inquiries, maybe resolved 20+ customer inquiries per day with a 95% satisfaction rate. Numbers grab attention.
Quantify. Got it. What about how you phrase those bullet points?
Ah, yes. Start every single bullet point with a strong action verb. Ditch the passive, weak phrases like responsible for or duties included. They're just boring. Use dynamic verbs that scream impact and initiative. Our sources list tons, but think words like led, spearheaded, managed, collaborated, administered, analyzed, developed, directed, improved, organized, promoted, researched, solved, fabricated, maintained, implemented, created, advised, educated, planned, forecasted. These verbs instantly frame what you did as active, results-oriented, and impactful.
That's great advice for framing the impact. But what about those part-time jobs, or maybe even gig work like food delivery or something? Things that might feel totally unrelated to the career you want. Should Alex still put down their barista job? Or maybe babysitting gigs from years ago? Seems like they might just clutter things up.
No, Alex should absolutely include them, and so should you, if you have them. Even those seemingly unrelated part-time jobs, barista, server, retail clerk, babysitter, pet sitter, house sitter, or any kind of gig work, they should be on there. The trick isn't just listing the job, it's about strategically focusing on the transferable skills you gained and how you use them. Being a barista isn't just making coffee, it's about exceptional customer service, often under pressure, handling cash accurately, teamwork, organization, problem solving on the fly, babysitting. That shows immense responsibility, trustworthiness, time management, planning.
Okay, so how would Alex frame that barista job then?
Instead of just barista, Alex could write a bullet point like, provided exceptional customer service in a fast-paced environment, resolving issues quickly and ensuring guest satisfaction, serving an average of 75 plus customers per shift. See, that highlights communication, problem-solving, customer focus, even handling volume skills valuable anywhere. Or for babysitting,
sure,
manage childcare for up to 3 children, overseeing daily schedules, meal preparation, and educational activities, demonstrating high levels of responsibility and trust. That shows reliability, planning, organization, trustworthiness, all fantastic soft skills employers desperately want, especially in entry-level hires. Every experience teaches you something valuable, you just have to find it and frame it.
Okay, moving beyond jobs, let's talk projects. These seem like an incredible, maybe often overlooked way for entry-level folks to bridge that no experience gap, right?
Yeah.
They actually show employers what you can do with your skills, not just what you learn in a textbook. What kinds of projects should listeners be highlighting, and how do they make them sound compelling?
Projects are pure gold. Seriously. Especially for entry-level candidates. Why? Because they demonstrate real interest in a field, they show initiative, and they provide tangible evidence of your expertise. They let you showcase practical application of skills, often in ways that mimic real-work situations. The key is just knowing which ones to include and how to describe them effectively. We can kind of group them into a few types. First, you've got academic projects. These are the ones you did as part of your classes. Prime examples of applying what you learned. You can list these either right in your education section, maybe as a bullet point under the relevant degree, or if you have several strong ones, create a dedicated projects section. For each one, include the project name, the dates or semester, and then a description. Focus on the skills you used and the results you got. Quantify if possible. So maybe Alex, applying for that data archiving role, could write, led a group of 4 students to coordinate with Philadelphia History Museum to help document and preserve Renaissance-era historical articles. Used accurate and detailed data entry techniques to input 200-plus historical documents into online museum database with 99% accuracy, contributing to long-term digital preservation efforts. That shows leadership, collaboration, specific technical skills, data entry accuracy, and measurable impact. 200-plus documents, 99% accuracy.
That's a brilliant way to elevate a school assignment way beyond just, getting a grade. What about projects that came from work, even part-time work? Or stuff you just did on your own?
Yep, absolutely. Work projects, even from part-time jobs or internships, can be super valuable. If you did anything notable, list it right in your work experience section, maybe as a straight paragraph or an extra bullet point under that job. Give the project a clear name, even something simple like key project, social media campaign works. Note if it's ongoing. And again, use those action verbs and hard numbers. A great example from our sources. Spearheaded a social media campaign for a new product launch that increased brand engagement by 45% in 3 months, contributing to a 20% rise in sales. Bam. Initiative, impact, numbers. Or another. Led Fitform Project, a marketing campaign for a new athleisure line worth $100K from conceptualization to launch, generating 200 new customers and a $50K surplus in annual revenue. Shows ownership and direct contribution.
Well, okay. Those are powerful. What about freelance stuff?
Freelance projects are excellent too if you've done any contract work, even small gigs. You can put these under your main professional experience or create a separate freelance experience or consulting projects section. Include the project name, the client or company, even if it was just an individual or small business. Location can be remote, dates. Then describe what you did and achieved using action verbs and numbers. A web developer example could be completely overhauled an existing e-commerce platform for a small business to improve user experience, mobile responsiveness, and conversion rates using HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, React.js, Node.js, MongoDB, AWS. Optimize site performance, reducing page load times by 60% and improving SEO rankings, resulting in a 15% increase in online sales for the client. Shows a huge range of tech skills and clear business results for the client.
Okay, and finally, what about those passion projects, things you did just because you were interested? Like Alex's travel blog. How do those fit?
Those are your personal projects, and they are fantastic for showing self-motivation, genuine passion, and skills you developed outside of formal work or school. Create a dedicated section for these, maybe call it personal projects or relevant projects, but be selective. Only include projects that are actually relevant to the job you want and clearly showcase useful skills. Give the project a name, dates, and use bullet points to detail what it involved and what skills you gained or demonstrated. So, if Alex is applying for a social media manager role, that travel blog is suddenly very relevant. They could describe it like, designed and coded personal blogging site using Python, HTML, and CSS to document travel experiences. Created and curated engaging, culturally sensitive content, managing SEO to receive 2,000 visitors monthly, and personally engaged with 50-plus weekly comments and inquiries. See how that turns a hobby into demonstrable skills in web development, content creation, SEO, community engagement?
So smart framing.
When you're deciding which projects to include, think about three things: relevance, impact, skill demonstration. Don't just list it, explain. What was the challenge? What specific actions did you take? Action verbs. What was the outcome, or what did you learn? Even for a simple class project, if you can say, you analyzed market trends to develop a strategy resulting in a proposed campaign that got 90% positive peer feedback, that tells a story. And if you do have a dedicated project section, keep it focused. Limit it to maybe your 3 to 5 strongest, most recent, most relevant ones. Don't overwhelm them. Impress them.
Okay, beyond formal projects, let's talk volunteering, contributing to the community, helping out. That can also be resume gold, right? So this is a lot about your character, your values, what drives you beyond a paycheck. When should someone definitely include volunteer work, and how do they list it effectively?
Volunteer work is such an excellent way to fill experience gaps, especially for entry-level resumes. And you're right, it brilliantly shows off valuable transferable skills and character traits, things like initiative, responsibility, empathy, teamwork. Employers love seeing that. You should absolutely include volunteer work if highly relevant to the job you're applying for. If you lack a lot of formal work experience, like many students, if you're maybe changing careers, if you have gaps in your resume you need to explain, or if you want to showcase leadership or organizational skills you haven't used in a paid role yet, it shows you're proactive, engaged, willing to step up. Listing it is pretty straightforward, format-wise. Treat it much like your work experience section for consistency. Include the organization's name, its location, the time frame you were involved, like SEP 2022 present or summer 2023. Then use bullet points to describe your accomplishments. Again, start with those strong action verbs and quantify your results whenever you can. Instead of helped organize events, try planned and organized 2 successful fundraising events, raising over $2,500 for the food bank.
So where does it actually go on the resume page? Does it get its own section, or do you mix it in with paid jobs? That seems like it could be confusing.
That's a really important strategic decision. It depends entirely on how relevant that volunteer experience is to the specific job you want. If the volunteer work is highly relevant, say, you volunteered doing social media for a nonprofit, and now you're applying for a social media job, then you should definitely integrate it right into your main experience section, listed alongside your paid jobs or internships. This signals its importance and direct applicability. If it's less directly relevant, but still shows valuable skills like teamwork, reliability, or communication, then create a separate section. You could call it volunteer experience, community involvement, or maybe additional activities. Keep the descriptions concise here.
Can you give an example of a strong volunteer bullet point description?
Sure. Drawing from our sources, here's one that shows real impact. Trained 5 new volunteers in client intake procedures, fostering strong commitment to community service. Helped prepare and serve meals to over 200 individuals daily at a local soup kitchen. Planned and executed 2 successful fundraising drives, raising over $2,500 through community outreach and event coordination. See, it shows leadership, train, direct service, help prepare and serve, organizational skills, planned and executed fundraising, and quantifiable results, 5 volunteers, 200 individuals daily, $2,500 raised. The aim of this takeaway is volunteer work powerfully demonstrates self-motivation, responsibility, compassion, teamwork, all things employers are definitely looking for in well-rounded candidates. ###3. Campus involvement and extracurricular activities. And don't stop at formal volunteering. Your involvement in campus clubs, student organizations, even sports teams. Especially if you took on any kind of leadership role, that's incredibly valuable experience too, and often gets completely overlooked. These activities are prime ground for developing and demonstrating skills that employers really want. Skills you might not get just from classes.
Like what kind of skills are we talking about here?
Think about it. Just being an active member of a club where you help plan events or contribute to projects, that shows teamwork, collaboration, maybe organizational abilities, stepping up into a leadership position, club president, event chair, treasurer, team captain. That screams leadership, commitment, problem solving, ability to motivate others. Even just consistently participating in something demanding, like a competitive debate club or university sports team, shows discipline, perseverance, working towards a goal under pressure. For example, putting on your resume. Planned and organized a fundraising gala for the Campus Hunger Initiative that successfully raised $2,000 for local charities. That's concrete proof of project management, budgeting, maybe even marketing skills, all within an extracurricular context. These aren't just hobbies you list to fill space. Treat them seriously as platforms where you genuinely developed and applied real skills. And one last category here. Don't underestimate a dedicated awards and achievements section. These aren't just, nice little ego boosts. They're actual, concrete, often third-party validation of your excellence and results. They instantly boost your credibility because someone else recognized your outstanding contributions.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, so what kind of things should go in there?
Think broadly. Significant scholarships you won, like a Dean's Scholarship. Making the Dean's List multiple times. Winning competitions, academic ones, maybe athletic achievements, even extracurricular challenges like a hackathon or business plan competition, any leadership recognitions you received from campus groups, even things like Employee of the Month from a part-time job, or maybe a Volunteer of the Year award. These all demonstrate that you consistently perform at a high level, that you go above and beyond, that you have a track record of success. Where does it go? Often best placed either right below your education section, especially if your academic achievements are really strong, or maybe as an optional section near the end, depending on space and relevance. But definitely include them. They add instant credibility.
Okay, phew. We've got the content dialed in. We've reframed experience, detailed education, highlighted skills, projects, achievements. It's looking good. Now, how do we package all this amazing stuff so it's not just, seen, but actually looks irresistible to hiring managers? And maybe even more importantly, how do we make sure it gets past those tricky applicant tracking systems, the ATS bots? The look and feel, the visual presentation really matters, doesn't it? Oh, it matters hugely. Often way more than people realize. Proper formatting isn't just about making it look pretty. It directly impacts readability, professionalism. It significantly helps your resume or CV stand out, both with the quick scan of a human eye and to those automated systems. Honestly, a well-formatted document shows you have attention to detail, you're organized, you respect the recruiter's time. A messy, hard-to-read one, it just suggests carelessness, frankly. Okay, so give us the key formatting tips. What are the rules for making it look clean and professional?
All right, let's run through the big ones. First, length. For most U.S. entry-level resumes, the gold standard is 1 page. Keep it concise. Hiring managers often spend just seconds on that first look. Now, for UK CVs, as we said, 1-2 pages is standard. And maybe if you have over 5 years of really relevant experience, 2 pages could be okay for a U.S. resume, but for entry-level, stick to 1 page if you possibly can. Margins are important for that clean, uncrowded look. Aim for 1-inch margins on all sides. You might see advice about shrinking them slightly, like to 0.5 or 0.65 inches to fit more in, but definitely avoid going below 0.5 inches. It can mess up printing, it looks crammed and difficult to read, and honestly, it can look a bit desperate. Give it room to breathe.
And fonts. Oh boy, the font choices.
Yeah.
Well, what's actually recommended? Well, it looks professional, but it's also easy to read, both for humans and, I guess, for computers.
Yeah, font choice is key. Stick with professional, highly legible, sans serif fonts. Things like Ubuntu, Roboto, Overpass are great modern choices. Arial, Helvetica are classics. Definitely avoid anything too decorative or script-like. Avoid using lots of different colors. Maybe one subtle accent color is okay, but keep it minimal. And generally avoid infographics unless you're in a very visual field like graphic design, where the resume is a portfolio piece. And while fonts like Calibri or Times New Roman are super common, they can sometimes look a bit default, overused. Choosing something slightly different but still clean and professional can subtly help you stand out.
Okay, good tip. What about font sizes?
Keep it readable. Your main body text should be between 10 and 12 points. Headings for sections, maybe 13, 14 points. Your name at the top should be the biggest, maybe 16, 20 points, and bold. Critically, never go below 10 points for the main text. It just becomes too hard to read, especially for someone scanning quickly or maybe reading on a smaller screen. Spacing needs to be consistent. Usually 1.0 or 1.15 line spacing works well. Keep it the same throughout. Always left align your main text content. It's standard professional and makes it easy to scan down the page. Use bullet points effectively to break up information, especially in your experience and skills sections. Aim for maybe 2 to 4 concise, impactful statements per position or project. And above all, consistency is king. Use the same font styles, the same bullet point style, the same heading format, bolding, caps, etc., all the way through. Inconsistencies look sloppy. Lastly, don't be afraid of white space. Use it strategically. It prevents the page from looking cluttered and overwhelming. A dense block of text is intimidating. White space makes it inviting. Hashtag tailoring for impact.
All right, we've got the clean, professional look. It's formatted beautifully. But even the prettiest resume won't get you an interview if the content isn't hitting the mark for that specific job. How do we make sure the resume is truly impactful for each application, not just sending out the same document over and over again?
This is probably one of the single most critical pieces of advice, and yet it's the one most often ignored. Customization is absolutely key. Sending the exact same generic resume to every single job is a massive mistake. It's like sending the same generic birthday card to everyone you know. It lacks sincerity and relevance. You have to tailor your resume for each specific application if you want to maximize your chances. It takes more time, yes, but it's worth it.
So what does that tailoring actually involve? What are we changing?
Primarily, it involves strategically weaving in keywords. Go back to that job description. Read it like a detective. Identify the key skills, the specific responsibilities, maybe the company values they mention, any particular software or tools. Then, make sure those exact words and phrases appear naturally within your resume, in your objective, in your experience bullet points, in your skills section. This does 2 vital things. First, it helps you get past the ATS systems, those resume scanning bots we talked about, because they're literally looking for those keyword matches. Second, and just as important, when a human does read it, those keywords immediately signal, hey, I read your specific job ad, I understand what you're looking for, I'm a good fit for your needs. It shows you've done your homework.
Okay, keywords. What else helps make it impactful?
Quantify your results. We mentioned this earlier, but it bears repeating. Use numbers, percentages, dollar amounts, timeframes, anything concrete whenever possible to show the tangible impact you made. Don't just say you increased sales. Say you increased sales by 20% in 6 months. Don't just say you managed a budget. Say you managed a $16,000 event budget. Don't say you trained members. Say you trained 12 new club members. Quantifying transforms vague claims into impressive, memorable facts. It shows you think in terms of results and impact, and finally, use simple, clear language. Yes, use industry terms where appropriate, but avoid overly technical jargon or acronyms that someone outside your specific team or niche might not understand. Remember, the first person reading your resume might be an HR generalist, not necessarily an expert in your specific field. Make it easy for anyone to quickly grasp your skills and accomplishments. Don't make them work hard to figure you out. Hashtag tag the final poll.
Okay, so we've got amazing tailored content. It's presented beautifully. It's formatted for the bots and the humans. We're almost ready to hit send. But before we do, what's that absolute final, cannot skip it step? The one that ensures we don't trip at the finish line with some silly mistake.
The final polish. It's so crucial and yet often rushed or skipped in the excitement. It comes down to one main thing: proofread thoroughly. I cannot stress this enough. A single typo, a grammatical error, even an inconsistent formatting blip, it can absolutely be a deal breaker for some employers. Why? Because it suggests a lack of attention to detail, maybe even carelessness. And if you're careless on your resume, will you be careless on the job? That's a subconscious message it sends. Use spell check. Use grammar tools like Grammarly, sure, but don't rely on them alone. They miss things. Critically, ask someone else to read it, a trusted friend, a mentor, someone from your university's career center. A fresh pair of eyes will catch errors you become blind to after looking at it for hours.
Good advice. Get a second pair of eyes. What else for the final polish?
Once it's perfect, absolutely error-free, save it as a PDF. This is essential. It preserves all that beautiful formatting you worked so hard on. It ensures it looks the same no matter what computer or device someone opens it on. Don't let your carefully chosen fonts and margins get messed up in transit. Only send it as a Word document, .doc or .docfix, if the employer specifically asks for that format, usually for their ATS system. Otherwise, PDF is the standard. And lastly, even the file name matters. Don't just call it resume.pdf. Name it professionally and clearly so the hiring manager can easily identify it. Something like John Doe resume.pdf or Jane Freshman CV marketing.pdf. These small final touches, they all add up. They signal professionalism, meticulousness, and that you value quality. Leaves a great final impression.
Okay, so the resume is looking sharp. It gets you noticed, gets you past the initial screens, hopefully seals through the ATS.
Yeah.
But then there's the cover letter. This feels like your chance to really seal the deal right, to tell your story in a way the resume just can't. It's not just a formality people skip, is it?
Exactly. You should think of the cover letter as your resume's best friend, or maybe its personal advocate. It doesn't just repeat what's on the resume. It complements it. It provides deeper insight into your skills, your qualifications, and crucially, your personality and motivation. It's like your virtual handshake with the hiring manager. It's often your very first direct communication where you introduce yourself, set the tone, and make a personal connection before they even dive into your resume bullet points. It's your chance to show them who you are behind the facts and figures.
And it feels even more important when you're starting out, maybe without a ton of formal work experience to rely on. How does a cover letter really help in that specific, often tricky situation?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial then. Maybe even more crucial for entry-level candidates. A well-written, personalized cover letter can powerfully differentiate you from other applicants who might just send a resume, or maybe a really generic cover letter. It gives you the space, the narrative room to elaborate on your skills, your specific competencies, your personality traits, the values that drive you. You can talk about how you develop these things, maybe through that challenging academic project, the leadership role in a club, that personal coding project you poured hours into, or even a significant life experience where you showed resilience or learned something profound. You get to tell the story behind the bullet points on your resume. That's something the resume format just doesn't allow for.
Okay, so how do you write a great one?
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have that traditional work history. What are the key tips for making it personal but still professional?
Great question. Several key things to nail. First, do your research. This is non-negotiable. Before you write a single word, investigate the company. What are their values? What's their culture like? What projects are they working on? And study that job description again. Pull out keywords, required skills, desired traits. You need to weave these into your letter to show you're not just applying blindly, but you're genuinely interested in them and this role. Second, nail the basics. Contact details and greeting. Include your info and the hiring manager's info if you can find a specific name. LinkedIn is great for this. Otherwise, dear hiring manager or dear hiring team is okay. Use a formal professional greeting like dear Miss Smith or dear Dr. Jones.
Okay, research, contact info. What next?
Third, focus intensely on relevant qualifications. Filter through everything you could mention and pick what's most applicable to this specific job. Then create a direct, compelling link between your skills, even those from projects, classes, volunteering, and what the job description asks for. This is your chance to explain how you gained those skills and why they make you a perfect fit. Tell the story. Fourth, showcase both your hard and soft skills, but remember that mantra. Show, don't tell. Don't just say you're a great communicator. Give a brief example from a project or activity that demonstrates your communication skills and action. Provide context. Explain how your unique blend of skills matches exactly what they need. And don't be shy about mentioning a top accomplishment or two, even if it's academic or personal, and connecting it directly to the job requirements.
Makes sense. And how do you wrap it up?
Finally, close professionally. Reiterate your strong interest in the position. Express your enthusiasm for the chance to discuss your qualifications further in an interview. Use a standard professional sign-off like best regards or sincerely, followed by your typed name. And, just like the resume, the absolute final step before sending is proofread meticulously. Flawless grammar and spelling are essential. Any errors can completely undermine your message and make you look unprofessional. Get those second eyes on it.
That's a really solid framework. Are there any common traps or pitfalls people fall into? Things listeners should absolutely avoid, especially if they're feeling a bit sensitive about not having much formal experience?
Yes, two big ones that can really sabotage an otherwise good application. First, don't be apologetic. Absolutely never downplay your past experiences or adopt an apologetic, self-deprecating tone about lacking formal work history. Avoid phrases like, even though I don't have much experience, or although I'm only a recent graduate. It just sounds weak and lacks confidence. Frame what you have done, projects, coursework, volunteering as valuable and relevant because it truly is. Focus on your strengths, your potential.
Right. Own what you do have. What's the second pitfall?
Second, don't focus on your perceived lack of experience. Remember, recruiters hiring for entry-level roles expect you not to have a long career history. They know what they're looking for: potential, eagerness, foundational skills. So instead of dwelling on what you think you're missing, shift your entire focus to highlighting your self-awareness, your demonstrated readiness and ability to learn quickly, and your genuine researched interest in this specific position and this company. Your cover letter should radiate confidence, enthusiasm, and potential, not insecurity about what's not on your resume yet.
That's incredibly powerful advice.
Yeah.
Really changes the whole approach for anyone looking to make that jump from school to their first professional role.
Wow. Well, we have covered a ton of ground today, seriously. From completely rethinking what experience even means for entry-level roles to the real nitty-gritty of crafting every single resume section, how to strategically use those non-traditional experiences, mastering that clean formatting, and making your cover letter a true advocate for you.
Yeah, we really hope you've soaked up these insights and are feeling, well, more empowered now. Remember that core message. Your classes, your projects, your volunteering, your campus groups, even your part-time jobs, they all hold valuable, transferable skills. Tailoring your resume and cover letter for each specific job, quantifying your achievements whenever you can, making sure everything looks polished and professional, those are your secret weapons for standing out. And it's just so important to say again, every single professional started somewhere. Nobody just appears with 5 years of experience out of thin air. You genuinely have more to offer than you probably realize right now. Your potential, your skills, your initiative, your unique viewpoint, those are incredibly valuable, and employers are looking for them.
Absolutely. So as you start making that move, from doors to desks, try to remember that your resume isn't just some dry, factual document. It's really a narrative. It's the compelling story of who you are, what you've learned, what you're capable of doing, and the impact you're ready and eager to make.
And that perfectly leads us to our final provocative thought for you. Something to mull over as you embark on this really exciting journey. As you step from dorms to desks, remember that your resume isn't just a document. It's a narrative. What compelling story will you tell about your potential to make an impact even before you've landed that first big job? We're really confident you have an amazing story just waiting to be told.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.